Qualifying 2 for GT Cup Europe is just getting underway now. It's a 20-minute session to determine the grid for this afternoon's race. Yesterday it was Racar Motorsports' debut win in the championship in the number 911 Porsche 992 with Dieter Schweppes and Leandro Martin at the wheel of the car, and Amcar taking the overall win. Most unusual to see in the championship. But let's see if any of the other Pro-Am runners can take the fight to them in this second race of the weekend. We have very different conditions to what we had in yesterday's qualifying session that definitely lended a hand to the performance of the Porsches, as it was a bit of a deluge when they went out for qualifying yesterday. So the lighter, more nimbler Porsche able to extract a little bit more time compared to the more powerful Ferrari 488 Challenge. But dry conditions could be a very, very different story. Chris Stevens and George Morgan in the commentary box. And yeah, George, looking forward to this one.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I think off the back of what was a tremendous success story for Dieter Schweppes and Leandro Martins, bringing the car home in grand fashion. Not only that, the big story with Racar Motorsport being the hometown heroes, essentially taking the very first race win of the season, and with it being on home soil, such an integral weekend for them, and they came out on top in the very first race. Great way to start. Of course, there was some drama out on the podium as well. We did witness, of course, the coming together between Andrea Bellici making his way around the track, and unfortunately, the combination of Luca Ludwig and Ivan Velasco were upturned heading through turn 3. We did, of course, witness a decision in the stewards' room, which meant that the positions were essentially swapped. So Ivan Velasco moved up with Luca Ludwig to P2 in yesterday's race results, with Andrea Bellici and Lorenzo Innocenti dropping down to P3. But yeah, we got sound. That's positive.
Yep. Well, apologies for the momentary lapse in sound and picture there. Some problems at the circuit, just had a bit of a power shortage by the sounds of it. But it looks like we are all back now with 12.5 minutes left in this qualifying session for race 2 of GT Cup Europe. Thank you for your patience and thanks for sticking with us. It is currently Andrea Bellici in the Rosso Corsa Ferrari 488 Challenge. That is on provisional pole position with a 1:45.564. He's 1.5 seconds clear of Evgeny Leonov's Porsche, although right as I say that, Nathan Braun's in the Q1 track racing Porsche goes second fastest and to within a second of Bellici's provisional pole time. So we'll see how that unfolds throughout the remainder of the session. Once again, it's a Pro-Am and Am provisional all front row, as it was in yesterday's session, but still a long way to go in this session.
Yeah, just a little note on Nathan Braun's, incidentally. The reason why, obviously, Van der Velde actually started from the back of the grid after yesterday's qualifying session is because they had no wet weather tyres available to them at the very start. They had not prepared for the wet weather.
Wow.
So they went out in hope that it would be slick conditions. It wasn't. They ended up starting from the back of the grid. And when they came into race time, that was, of course, when we saw them rampantly rise through the order like they did. It was a great effort on part of Van der Velde and Nathan Braun's. But here on this occasion, they have got the dry conditions, which will certainly favour them this time around. Now, whilst we were talking earlier on, I just wanted to let you know as well about the stewards' decision as well. Just a quick reminder, Andrea Bellici, remember, finishing on track P2 in yesterday's race. Now, the stewards intervened, obviously after the collision that involved Bellici, and, of course, the car being driven by both Luca Ludwig and also his teammate, which obviously led to the stewards just investigating the situation. Of course, remember, Bellici partnered with Lorenzo Innocenti. It all came down to the final laps, and Ivan Velasco, who was driving alongside Luca Ludwig, got upended heading through turn 3 after a collision with Andrea Bellici. The stewards reversed the position, so Bellici moved to P3 with Innocenti, and P2 was given to Ivan Velasco and Luca Ludwig as a consequence. And that decision was made coming up to 10 p.m. yesterday evening. So there we have it, folks. But the current picture looks like this. Ivan Velasco and Bellici once again manacled at the top. We got Velasco leading the way in qualifying so far, and is currently purple in the first sector, and not improving necessarily in the sector 2 time. It's not a personal improvement, but we'll see what he can hook up in sector 3. Andrea Bellici still second in this case, but we'll be looking to try and find something else. He's in the pits as things stand. But we also welcome back Matteo Lovisi, who is out on track 4th fastest at this point, and they'll be looking for a good race once again this afternoon. Evgeny Leonov currently 6th fastest, just in behind Lars Zanian. I got a chance to speak to Alex Ryman as well, who's very excited. I think he's keen to see dry conditions out on track in its own right. Of course, a very quick driver was also caught up in the chaos that was down at Tora Vip, and obviously that was after the incident that Jorge Cabezas was involved in. Cabezas swapping out with Annie Frozio in her debut official GT championship here in the GT Cup Europe, taking part here in this championship. Annie Frozio currently 18th fastest and now getting her chance to get behind the wheel of her Ferrari.
What's interesting at the front of the field, Ivan Velasco in the Mertel Motorsport Ferrari is the bronze driver and is currently beating the gold-rated Andrea Bellici, which is interesting because Velasco's teammate Luca Ludwig, again, gold driver, qualifying the car yesterday. Luca Ludwig on double duties in the GT Cup and GT Open. So because he just did the GT Open qualifying today, he was doing the GT Cup qualifying yesterday. Here we can see our provisional pole sitter, Ivan Velasco, bronze-rated driver, currently on the overall pole position, but running in the Pro-Am field. Andrea Bellici in second by 0.4 of a second. Then Nathan Braun's currently on Am pole position and 3rd overall. Nathan Braun's yesterday made his GT racing debut, having moved over after 2 years in the VW Fun Cup. in Belgium. And this is a new track to him, but seems to be taking to it like a duck to water as Ivan Velasco makes his way back into the pits. Just under 8 minutes left to go in this session. It's Matteo Levisi in the 67. GDL Racing Porsche in 4th position. That's the car that started on pole position yesterday at the hands of Federico Al Rifai, the F4 Saudi Arabia champion who's graduated into the GT class. This is one of the lead cars from Q1 Track Racing, the number 11 machine that we saw hopping and skipping and, well, flying over the grass at turn 2 yesterday. Quite a very dramatic moment for them, but it is Nicolas Salins at the wheel of the car at the moment. It's an all Belgian pairing alongside Steeners Longin, and Salins making his way around the final couple of corners. Oh no, excuse me, that's Fabio Babini we were looking at there, number 78 machine. ZRS Motorsport for them last year, now being run by the Tsunami Racing team, who have joined us with a few cars in the GT Cup, and Babini going 3rd fastest by half a second.
Yeah, Dieter Schweppes also was 3rd fastest until Babini crossed the line. Babini, vastly experienced where it comes to GT racing. Has been part of the GT Cup Europe now for quite some time. 8 races, 3 podiums in the 2023 season, but also has taken part in the Michelin Le Mans Cup in GT3. Very consistently performing in the Italian GT Championship with 3 wins and 4 podiums, 2 poles back across 2019 and 2021, and has also taken part in European Le Mans Series. This man has really done it all. He is also a 8 Hours of Rome winner as well.
Sorry, George, we've got a red flag out for some reason. Not seeing anything obvious just yet, and we've had no warnings of any cars stopped on track just yet, so not quite sure why we've got a red flag out just yet. But the session is suspended with 6 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. Obviously, we've got a limited view from the commentary box, so it's not like we can just peek out the window and have a look and see what's going on. But the cars will slowly make their way back to the pits. Standings as it is, with 6 minutes left on the clock. Ivan Velasco on pole position by 0.4 of a second to Andrea Bellici and Fabio Babini, completing the top 3. And then on AM pole position, that is now this car, the 911 Dieter Schweppes Rackar Porsche, that took the overall victory yesterday. Then it is Nathan Braun's in second, by just 81 thousandths of a second in that class. And then 3rd in AM is Nico van Dierendonk, back in 10th position overall in the 57 Q1 Track Racing Porsche. And Q1 getting a double podium yesterday. In fact, at the moment, the top 3 in AM looking very similar to what it did in the race yesterday. The only difference is the 52 and the 57 Q1 cars were the other way round. And actually, now we've got a reason here. Car 82 has hit the tyre barrier at turn 10. Car 82 being the Mertel Motorsport Ferrari of Leon Reinbeck, or Leon Chen, as he likes to be known as well. So Leon Chen has hit the tyre barrier at turn 10, and presumably we need the red flag to put that tyre barrier back into its correct position. So while we wait for that, I will dig up a little bit of history that I was looking at yesterday, because of course yesterday we had an AM car take the overall race win, which, yeah, as we say, is a bit unusual to have a bronze pairing taking an overall win just by the very nature of the Pro-Am and AM format. So last year, actually, before I get into that, we're going to see. Now, this is a big problem here for the Mertel car that seems to have had some sort of braking issue. It's buried underneath the Tech Pro barriers. The car is still there, but that does look more like some sort of braking failure rather than a mistake, because he was locked up well before the corner. But great to see Leon Chen out of the car and seemingly okay. The car has probably seen better days, though.
I would imagine so. I mean, we just saw what looked to be a horrendous lockup. Could have been a brake failure as well, heading through. It has happened. We did see it a little bit, ironically, with another Ferrari, of course, with Jorge Cabezas, but that wasn't down to brake failure in that instance. Of course, heading down in towards Tora Vip. Of course, we were alluding to the issues that was sustained with the likes of Alex Ryman, who was very much in the eye of the storm when that all erupted. But yeah, huge incident there for Leon Chen, but great to see him getting out of the car and walking away. But again, a huge repair bill on offer for Myrtel Motorsports, who furiously put back together Jorge Cabezas' car yesterday, did miracle work. I was speaking to Jorge and his father as well, who showed me pictures of the damage inside the engine bay, and the sheer impact itself had caused certainly some considerable damage, but credit to the Myrtel team. They really did go to work and get it at least ready for qualifying here today, and of course the race this afternoon. But I can't imagine they're going to make further miracles like this to get Leon Chen's ready, because that was some impact, Chris.
It certainly was. Yeah, quite the repair bill that Myrtel is having to rack up at the moment, unfortunately.
Poor Mario.
But do you know what? They've brought 6 cars to it, and they did at least have a bit of success with their Pro-Am car, doing the job that it's designed to do. The number 80, they've made it very clear, this is the car that is going to defend the Drivers' Championship. Ivan Velasco being the reigning champion, he won the title with Jorge Cabezas, but now being partnered with Luca Ludwig aboard that number 80 machine. But yeah, when you bring so many cars, I mean, it does you do run the risk of, more chance of having some sort of an issue. They've I don't want to say spread themselves thin, but they've taken on a massive, massive undertaking with running all these cars. Bearing in mind, they're also running in the likes of Ferrari Challenge as well with 2 of those cars. And they've also got their TCR operation out in Eastern Europe as well. So big year for the Myrtel team, not least in the GT Cup. Now, there is one car that hasn't actually come out the pits yet, because we've got 21 and there are 22 on the list. I'm just trying to actually work out what it is. But I'll finish up that point I was making earlier about the overall AM winners before we saw that replay. So the last time we had an overall AM race winner was at Paul Ricard last year with Alex Ryman on his debut weekend. But there's probably a slight asterisk next to that, considering that he was then immediately regraded and put into the Pro-Am category for the following race weekend. So if you want to look for the last time that an AM pairing won the race and remained in the AM category, you have to go back to 2020 with the Baparo motorsport pairing of Manuel Sakida and Daniel Diaz Varela. So that has, it's been a long time. There might have been a time in 2021 when an AM pairing won the GT Cup race, but that was when they were combined with the GT Open grid as well. So if we're talking about overall wins, we go back to 2020. Now let's see which of these cars is missing. Actually, I can tell you exactly which one it is. It's the Street Art Racing Ferrari 488 Challenge, which, now that I think about it, didn't actually get out yesterday either, did it? So we haven't seen them running at all, unfortunately, by the looks of it. And now we can get our first glimpse at the damage on the front.
Goodness me.
That is Leon Chen and Mark Speakervass's number 82 car. And bearing in mind, we've got the race coming up at, formation lap is at 5 to 2. Fast lane opens at 13:43. That basically gives them 3 hours and 9 minutes or so to get that car back and get it in a state where it's going to be race ready. And I've never been known as an optimist, George, but I don't think anybody would excuse my pessimism if I said I don't think that car will end up racing.
Well, I mean, it's call a spade, I think, at this point. I mean, it's obviously a hefty crash, and coming into the Tech Pro the way that he did, obviously never ideal. And now it does mean to say that they are going to have to put some work in to get it at least race ready for the future. Whether that is going to be this afternoon, we'll have to wait and see. But yes, it does look extensive. So, you know, I mean, credit to the Mertel team who have done a stellar job getting Jorge Cabezas and Annie Frosio's car back onto the grid. Of course, it's great to see Annie behind the wheel. Of course, has been tutored by Jorge coming into this event. And, of course, we wish her well in her debut appearance. And but incredible when we look at this front end of the order. Still Ivan Velasco at the head of the field, and alluding back to, of course, him being essentially the AM driver in this exploit. Currently sitting just below 0.4 of a second clear of Andrea Bellici at this point. But one thing I will say, we haven't necessarily seen Bellici out on track for some time. He came out initially at the very start of qualifying, but spent a great deal of time in the pit lane. But what this does mean is that, seeing as we've only got 6 minutes and 20 to go, of course, thanks to the red flag, the timer is frozen. It does mean that Bellici's going to have to literally head straight out here, get those tyres ready, and at the same time then, over the period of 2 laps, try and surpass Ivan Velasco for that pole time.
And of course, yesterday it was a bit of Porsche domination. It was top 5 cars were all Porsches in qualifying, but the conditions really weren't favouring the Ferrari. And it's interesting now we have a Ferrari 1-2 in this session, followed by a field of Porsches. In fact, after the top 2, I think the next Ferrari is in 11th position, Alvaro Labera in the 81 car. There we can see the 82 sister car being towed back. Very good of Mertel to run very different liveries on all 6 of their cars, which has made our life considerably easier. The 82 being the orange car, not only because it's Leon Chen's favourite colour, but also reflecting his Dutch nationality as well. It's an interesting story about Leon Chen, actually, about how he ended up racing. Mertel is a dealership for Ferraris and I believe Maseratis as well in Germany, and he was one of their road car clients. And at a Ferrari Club Challenge meeting at Misano, the team had an opening and they asked Leon if he would like to take part. And initially he said no, but it was his wife who convinced him to actually give it a go, saying, oh, you have to go to Misano. You have to run at Misano. That's absolutely amazing. And it was very quick straight away, and they built the relationship from there, competing in Ferrari Challenge last year, and has raced in various Dutch series prior to that as well. But this, for sure, his biggest undertaking at the European level. There we can see the Rackar car, Dieter Schweppes at the wheel of the car. Of course, yesterday, the safety car played quite a significant role in the outcome of the race, because we saw few of the pro drivers spend basically their entire stint in the car behind the safety car, and therefore were unable to build up their usual advantage over the other the cars running their AMs and indeed the other AM cars. So
it was literally the first word spoken when Dieter Schweppes got out of the car to Leandro Martins. They acknowledged that the safety car played a huge role in what had occurred. But I mean, Dieter Schweppes himself is someone who is vastly experienced as well. Has come in off the back of the GT Winter Series where he secured 6 wins. Actually became Cup 2 champion off the back of 13 podiums and 6 wins, 2 poles as well. So he is good where it comes to qualifying. And in Porsche Sprint Challenge, Central Europe, he had win and 3 podiums in just 3 races. So a max podium record in Porsche Sprint Challenge Central Europe in 2023 last year. He's also done the Sprint Challenge, so he's very much synonymous with Porsche racing, but has also featured in ADAC 24 Hours of Nürburgring and the 24-hour series as well. So he has plenty of experience under his belt. So no question as to why he's currently hitting the heights and currently sitting at the highest AM placing in this qualifying session so far.
Yes, all that Porsche racing, and then throw in 2 years in the ADAC VW Lupo Cup as well, for good measure, back in 2003.
He's done it all.
Yes, exactly. Well, of course, that was just after his single-seater career, wasn't it, which started in the late 90s, wasn't it? So, yes, a vastly experienced racer and winning the GT Winter Series, as you mentioned, alongside Leandro Martins with the Rackar team. So this is a pairing that are very familiar with each other at this point. And, yeah, I'm sure yesterday that bond was
Strengthened
even more with the victory.
Especially the home race victory as well for the team. For
exactly.
Raka, it's huge. But we've just heard the whistle. I'd imagine the driver's now getting set. Obviously, we're still under red flag conditions, and we will await when we get back underway.
Now, this is an interesting car, the 83 Mertal Motorsport car. This is the all-female pairing of Alba Vasquez and Laura van den Hengel. It's currently Alba Vasquez in the car, who's joining us from the Spanish Endurance Championship. She's raced in TCR a lot in the Spanish Touring Car Championship, where she made her car racing debut just a couple of years ago. But yeah, the 19-year-old Spaniard being partnered with the 33-year-old Dutch Laura van der Hengel, who came into GT Cup last year straight out of karting as well. And that pairing being supported with a female crew as well. So they've got a female mechanic on there, a female race engineer. And I know that might not sound like much, but to put it in context, it's normally 2 mechanics per car and then 3 engineers in the team running 2 cars each. Essentially. So, yeah, great representation there aboard that car. And, yeah, wishing them all the best. But Alba Vasquez currently 18th fastest, but hopefully she can pick up the pace a little bit. And, yes, repair works looking like they are well underway and, in fact, almost in a position where we can get going again. But, of course, the safety of the circuit is of paramount importance. That section of the track's had a hit, and so we need to make sure that it can withstand another one should it be necessary, because one car's ended up there, which means it's entirely plausible for another one to end up there as well.
Yeah, and Andrea Bellici now sitting in the car. Will no doubt be looking for redemption after yesterday and losing out. Obviously still retained a podium, but P2 would have been better. A victory would have been better, but we've got to highlight this pairing because, of course, they started outside the top 10 in yesterday's race, and Innocenti had a fantastic start and has really risen to the occasion since coming into the GT Cup Europe Championship and has competed in Ferrari Challenge as well. Bellici very much coaching him when he came into the series. And Bellici, like we were talking about, the likes of Fabio Babini as well as Dieter Schweppes in many ways as well. If you look at Bellici's record, of course, historically has taken part in various different championships too. And GT Open GTS champion back in 2006, one of the originals of the series around GT Sport organisation. But even prior to that, has done so much else too. But we've got green flag conditions coming up soon, folks. Pit lane will open at 10:45. So in approximately 5.5 minutes time, we will be back underway in the pit lane. We'll be alive and kicking with the cars getting ready to start up. But yes, plenty on the table. There's Lars Zanen, who's going to be looking to try and bring his very best. Of course, coming in off the back of the BMW M2 CS Racing Cup Benelux in 2023 and a European Series Silver Cup in GT4 in 2022. Also took part in Belcar Endurance Championship and was its champion with 2 wins and 8 podiums in 8 races. So a decent record back in 2022. And prior to that, it was 3 years of Rotax karting from 2019 to 2021. So Zanen, very used to fast machinery, and now back this time driving a Porsche for Q1.
And he's been partnered with the reigning AM champion from last year, Zander Prisbalak, Q1 track racing, ever present and ever fast in both categories. The outfit from Drijbekenweg in Belgium. Just like an excuse to say Drijbekenweg.
Any excuse is a good excuse, Chris.
I like funny place names. What can I say? This is Fabio Babini tackling turn 3. And then who's aboard the 21 at the moment? Is it Florentin Chess?
Camel Perrion.
Oh, it is Camel. Yes, Camel Perrion.
The Romanian outfit.
Yes, they've come an awful long way. And in fact, I think they've made quite a few steps to try and improve the logistics of racing from Romania. I think it caused them a few headaches last year. But they've taken those steps. And so Alex Ryman is a very rapid youngster who's racing in Carrera Cup Benelux as well, very accustomed to Porsches. The Porsches that in this championship are largely untinkered with The main difference, really, maybe some ride height changes, but the Porsches run here are 15 kilos lighter than the base weight of the 992, and that is just as part of the balance of performance to try and help them compete with the Ferrari 8 Challenge. Of course, it's a little unusual to see Cup car machinery. It's not necessarily designed like GT3 competition, for example, to be competing together. But the GT Sport organization does do an absolutely cracking job of leveling out the performance of the Ferrari and the Porsche to make this great championship, both with very different performance characteristics. And we saw the Super Trofeo and the Mercedes GT2 car out in Barcelona as well. And we may yet well see the Super Trofeos out in the championship later in the year. Yes, it's great to see the two brands that can compete with each other on a level pegging with additional weight for the Ferrari and ride height restrictions, rear wing restrictions, and narrower front tires, just to help level out the massive power advantage that the Ferrari has. A 3.9-litre V8 that produces some 670 brake horsepower compared to the 4-litre flat 6 in the Porsche that makes 510 horsepower. So you can imagine on the straights, the Ferrari is very, very quick, but it makes up a lot more of its time against the Ferrari, does the Porsche, in the corners.
Well, we saw that yesterday, didn't we? A prime example was Velasco and Dieter Schweppes.
Yeah.
Obviously, Schweppes was trying to hunt down Velasco, and at the same time, we had Bellici coming up through the rear. So it was truly fascinating, and we can't forget Babini trying to close the gap yesterday as well, and for a brief period held the fastest lap of the race in the final closing stages, heading into the end of the race here in race 1 at Portimao. But yeah, truly fascinating, and it's amazing what they've managed to achieve to manage the BOP element and allow these cars to race each other. And I think Portimao offers a lot of that too, because whilst, of course, we have this great long straight that takes you into turn 1, and then that begins the slaloms heading up through Sector 2 and Sector 3, it has, certainly strengths there for the Ferraris, and then an immense level of strengths there for the Porsches as well, who are able to be a little bit more nimble in some of the corners.
Well, I remember at Paul Ricard last year, the Porsches were owning the technical third sector, and I remember Fabio Babini having a great fight with Bellici throughout that lap, where Bellici would extend his advantage on the straights, but Babini would dive him into, the last couple of corners.
It was their maiden weekend as well, Bellici and Innocenti.
For Rosso Corsa, ended up winning on their debut weekend, as did Alex Ryman. It wasn't Alex Ryman's debut weekend, was it? Because he actually debuted at Spa.
It was his maiden win, though.
It was his maiden win, that's for sure. Also got podium in Barcelona as well, and was running in the Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe Championship earlier this year. Was Alex Ryman, and of course Qualy Cup. It was Qualy Cup Deutschland for him last year. I think with EST1, the Estonian outfit, is doing Qualy Cup Benelux this year as well. But we have the fast lane now open. Pit lane will open at 10:46. So that is just under 50, over 50 seconds time. Alex Ryman is the man who wins the race to the end of the pit lane. And of course, everyone's very eager to get out for the remaining 6 minutes and 20 seconds in this qualifying session. Just a reminder, as it stands, Ivan Velasco on provisional pole position with a 1:45.174 in the number 80 Bertel Motorsport Ferrari. He's 4/10 clear of Andrea Bellici's Rosso Corsa Ferrari, and then Fabio Babini in 3rd position for the Tsunami Racing Team Porsche. He's half a second back. And then we have our AM pole sitter, Dieter Schweppes, in the 911 Racar Porsche. That's the car that won overall yesterday. Then Nathan Braun's in the Q1 Track Racing Porsche, 2nd in class, 5th overall. 3rd in AM is Nicolas van Dierendonck in the 57 Q1 Track Racing Porsche. That is 10th position overall. We have lost the number 82 Mertel Motorsport car of Leon Chen after that car headed into the barriers at turn 10, but the Tech Pro now repaired, and we have green flag conditions at the Autodromo Internacional de Algarve once again.
Yeah, we're back underway. Green flags lit across the Algarve. There's Andrea Bellici fighting for track space as well. Camel Perrion foregoing the place, heading through turns 2. And it's all about finding that clean air, that clean run, because of course all the cars will be bunched up, leaving fast lane and the pit lane itself, heading back out onto the track. It's all about trying to find that clean air so you can lay down your fastest lap time. And I get the feeling, certainly with the fact that we restarted with only 6.5 minutes to go, it's going to come down to the bitter end of this session where we'll see perhaps the best times rising to the top. The time to beat still Velasco with that 1:45.174. Bellici, I'm sure, will be looking to try and knock down that wood. Remember, he jumped himself straight into the fast lane as quick as he could. Of course, it was Alex Ryman, though, right at the front of that and does have that clean air.
Well, interestingly, Velasco, Sveps, Bronze and Van Dierendonck and Glauco Solieri have remained in pit lane and decided to wait it out just a little bit to try and get that clean air. Solieri now on his way, but no sign of
tyre temp.
Yeah, that probably is actually. This is on board with Andrea Bellici, currently second fastest in that Rosso Corsa Ferrari 488 challenge, heading his way round to turn 13 and building up towards a lap. Interestingly, these guys coming up to the end of the laps, they're not just making space there, these guys. They're going to end up really out of sync, the cars that are still in pit lane. Dieter Sveps has just made his way out onto the circuit, but still Velasco, Bronze and Van Dierendonck in pit lane. 4.5 minutes left on the clock as Andrea Bellici opens up the taps on that 3.9 litre V8, unleashing 670 brake horsepower down the front straight and into turn 1. He goes, getting a rough ride over the outside curbing on the way into the corner. Don't do track limits on the outside there. That has been a big talking point throughout this weekend, as it has been at turn 4 as well, as Bellici heads up the hill now and down this short back straight. Again, can feel the power of the Ferrari heading down towards the hairpin. What's the first sector time like? It is
very
purple.
Good.
A 32.8 in the first sector. So Andrea Bellici on a very good lap here by the looks of it, and still no sign of movement from Velasco, Bronze and Van Dierendonck. So maybe they've decided that's all they can get, and now they're just going to have to sit back and watch and see if Bellici can try and usurp Velasco's time. Heading back up the hill once again. It's the roller coaster, as you say, George, as you crest over that hill, dive back down, back up again through turns 10 and 11. Absolutely love watching cars around this circuit, either on board or off board, and it's certainly a favorite in the sim as well for many others. Gonna get the second split time through now. We didn't get it. We didn't get the second split time, and that's been a recurring problem, annoyingly, this weekend. That second loop, something blocking it. That's very wide. That's very wide at the penultimate corner.
Might upset his lap, actually.
It might well do. Let's see what the time is anyway. Makes his way up towards the timing beam now, and it is fastest. A 1:45.092 puts him 82 thousandths of a second clear of Ivan Velasco. So it is provisional pole position for Rosso Corsa Racing and Andrea Bellici with 2.5 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, and obviously I think that final sector could have been better. Fabio Babini unleashing the fastest third sector, which put him third fastest, coming across the line, still within 0.3 of a second though of our top two, as we now witness Libera going 10th fastest as well. There is Babini, who will look to come back out again and immediately trying to find a personal improvement in that first sector. Bellici not improving here in this initial stint. Babini is, though. He is green. Still a little bit ways off where Bellici is at this stage coming out of sector 1, but just over 1.5 tenths between the pair, as now Babini looks to try and take it uphill, making his way through Samson Corner at turn 8, as they now look to rise above it and down over the crest. Just saw the rear just kicking out from underneath him slightly. Evgeny Leonov also finding a personal improvement. He's just gone fastest in that middle sector as well. So a great display here on show here from Evgeny Leonov, who had that unfortunate spin, and the track is starting to generate because Babini now has taken that purple second sector to boot. 2 seconds up on where Bellici was only before, as we now see them make their way through the final corners here in this stage. There is Leonov. This was the location, of course, where he would find himself spinning in our race last season when he was on the cusp of taking victory here at Portimao. This time, the volcano is going to aim to erupt here on the timing screen. This is the personal improvement here from Leonov, but how much can he find as he makes his way across the line? He will certainly register a lap. It will be 6th fastest in accordance to our timing screen, at least for now, but displaying purple in this instance in the final thing, but I think it's just our timing screens sorting itself out. Bellici still on top right now.
Yeah, definitely 6th fastest, that 46.173, putting him a second away from Bellici's provisional pole time. I think the second sector loop is still not running at 100%, which might have just misled the graphics on that one. This is the AM provisional pole sitter in 5th position overall, but not pushing as it stands. Cruising. Just letting Alex Ryman... Oh, no, it's dead. Problems here for the Rakkar Porsche, by the sounds of it, because... well...
I'm not sure it's the
actually,
Rakkar.
No, I think we're getting the audio from somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think we get there. That was not the Rakkar audio there. So it looks fine on the Rakkar now. It's still going. So apologies, any Rakkar fans. Checkered flag is out, and Andrea Bellici's brought it into pit lane. So he's got nothing left in the tank. Oddly enough, Ivan Velasco's now out there as well. So they've decided they're going to come out right at the last possible moment to try and take pole position back again. Let's see when he gets across the line. It's not a brilliant first sector, must be said, but we'll keep an eye on it. Evgeny Leonov still finding improvements in the middle sector, as is Ivan Velasco, though. So we'll see. Evgeny Leonov comes across the line, goes 4th fastest. That puts him on the 2nd row of the grid at 45.884. Usurps Alex Ryman from the 2nd row of the grid and joins Fabio Babini there as well. Here is the number 80 car, Ivan Velasco. Not seeing any green sectors, though, on this lap. So unless it's an absolutely blinding end to this lap, Ivan Velasco is going to have to settle for 2nd fastest, I think. And we'll see as he comes across the timing line. It's 1:45.092 to beat, and yep, Velasco has to settle for 2nd place. He was 6/10 off in the end. So it is Andrea Bellici and Rosso Corsa Racing's Ferrari 488 Challenge that beats Mertel Motorsport to pole position. It's an all-Ferrari front row of the grid, Rosso Corsa and Mertel. And then Fabio Babini and Evgeny Leonov with Rakkar backing up their strong performance in the AM category yesterday with pole position in their class in 6th position overall.
Yeah, credit to Ivan Velasco, only 82 thousandths away from Bellici's best time of the 1:45.092 further down. Fabio Babini, another great stint. Of course, we all know how talented he truly is. Evgeny Leonov with that clutch lap, putting him on the 2nd row with Alex Ryman just in behind. So we've still got a sea of decent Porsches. And don't forget yesterday's winner, Dieter Schweppes, currently 6th fastest. But here are the results, Chris.
Andrea Bellici for Rosso Corsa Racing on pole position ahead of Ivan Velasco's Mertel Motorsport Ferrari. Fabio Babini and Evgeny Leonov will make up row 2. Then it's Alex Ryman. Dieter Schweppes, Rakkar Motorsports and pole position there ahead of class rival Nathan Braun's by half a second. Matteo Lavisi for GDR Racing, and then the Q1 Track Racing Porsche of Lars Zanen with Alvaro Lavera completing the top 10. He's also 3rd in the AM category. Nico van Dierendonk at 4th in class, 11th overall ahead of Nicolas Salins, Hendrik Jaska and Johannes Zelga. And then comes Kamil Parian in the R01 Racing Porsche, Glauco Solieri and Dario Baruchelli. Alba Vasquez in the Mertel Motorsport car with Leon Chen, 19th fastest in the end, but we'll see if he ends up racing with Stefano Bozzoni and Annie Frozio completing the grid. And hopefully we will hear from Andrea Bellici shortly. Unfortunately, we won't. So we will see you for race number 2, which kicks off at 2 p.m. local time this afternoon. We'll see you then. to try and squeeze in a very quick wee. I'll tell you what. Yeah, I'm gonna leg it.
Okay.